who are really the only architects, I would say, who are truly synonymous with a category as far as the public is concerned when it comes to luxury residential. They are so well known that they were name dropped in Crazy Rich Asians, if you were listening closely. And then, of course, all of these other great firms, Montalva Architects, Rap Studio, Eames Office. And then there's this other element for any of you who might be urban designers, of making places and telling stories about cities as they exist. And thinking about storytelling around, Quito is one that we've worked on quite a lot as a story that includes architecture, and these are property developers we're working with for the most part, but in Ecuador, where we do storytelling around the transformation of what was an urban airport that's been decommissioned and is now becoming this real haven for development. And so this is a big building in the middle, 5 York Ingles, that we've just opened a few months ago, and then of course in Montreal, a new $7 billion development opening there. So there's this really wide range of storytelling, but all to say you've probably come across some of this. Publicists are sort of the invisible hand in all of this, and so the way these stories come together. To give you some context, I do know what I'm doing. This is a cover of Architectural Record that we opened a building in Dubai, which has the world's longest cantilever. It's called One Zabil. It's home to a luxury hotel, but it actually has a highway running through the 2 towers. I recommend reading it. It's really kind of a huge architectural feat by Nick and Seke. And then just some other samples of work, just in terms of, this one in the middle was a really fun one. Is a house by Olsen Kundig that's on railroad tracks, and I think is maybe holding the record for the world's shortest railway. But of course, storytelling is kind of not one size fits all, but just across different categories, there are ways to pull out stories for architects and how you can explore, working with Time Magazine, telling a story about how climate change is reshaping college education, and believe it or not, this is in fact about something an architect is doing. So just to kind of get you thinking about, none of these are architectural publications, but nonetheless have an interest in it. So I just kind of want to plant that seed as a starting point. Okay, so I will endeavor to fit all of this in an hour. I will just make some core assumptions here that your firm has a name, you have core practice areas. I am not trying to define who you are as a business, but to help you kind of, if you're interested in improving or changing your firm marketing, that you have a sort of base set of a reality in place, but that you're also probably not sure where to start. It's also entirely possible that you are more expert than I am and that you've been doing this longer, so if you are, you're welcome to trade spaces with me and you can lead the deck. But just to say that, because I often have architects who will approach me and they have a business development problem that they're looking to solve with PR, and in fact you have to sort of work out what is your business model first before you come to talk about PR. I'm going to use the word brand a lot. This is something that I think is a kind of foreign concept to architects, but whether you know it or not, every firm has a brand, every company has a brand. If you're not in charge of it, it's in charge of you. So just to say that it's something that in the consumer world is a lot more important, because consumer brands, and I know this by looking across the desk at my colleagues who do PR for furniture companies, have a really clear imperative. They have to sell things. I do PR for hotels. The going line in the hospitality world is heads and beds. And from a PR point of view, you need to make sure that the PR is ensuring and locking in those heads and beds. So in an architecture sense, it's a little bit different because you're a B2B model, but that the idea is nonetheless you have a brand, your brand is speaking to your clients, it should be intelligible to them. Just for some substance, the Harvard Business Review is obviously a real kind of pinnacle of this, but in terms of having the sort of message here is that your brand is a sort of North Star. It's really about your value system. So, if you're totally in the woods on this one, your brand can really do all of these things. It can help you win new work, it can reinforce your category expertise, it can help you reach new audiences, but at the bottom line, it can help you grow your business. And like I said, every firm has a brand, whether you're in charge of it or if it's running you. But the really important thing is that you can be a sort of owner of your brand. You can help others perceive you the way you want to be perceived. And I am most often approached at a PR agency by clients who have either never done it, have done it, it's not working, or they just need to retool something, it's not landing anymore. This is a really common post-COVID story where we're being approached by brands like Peli, who are these formidable powerhouse architecture firms who need to change something, or Olsen Kundig, who have this really long-standing perception they need to maintain it, that kind of thing. And in some cases, we come to them and we say, we actually think you need something entirely different. Or, you know you need this, we know you need this, but actually together, both are true. This is my favorite term that I would like to have banned. If I had a penny for every time someone told me that their core value is that their collaborative interdisciplinary design practice, there's 144 million results there. But that's something that I think is a kind of genericness that oddly architects use all the time, despite having a very, very specific business model. And the idea of architecture is creativity, and so using this kind of banal corporate language, I think makes architects feel like business people. I think it enables architects to feel a little bit more serious, and it offers you this sense that your work is more legitimate, and the kind of adding this scaffolding of infrastructure and business kind of creates this legitimacy that I think is not necessary, actually. But the really important thing is that there are certain truths that I think need to be heard, which is to say that a tiny firm in the era of the internet that has 2 employees and a really good website and is run by 22-year-olds can now compete with a really big firm because of optics. You can have really good renders if you're using, I don't know, Midjourney to spit out a lot of legitimate looking